we were in the midst of a heated combat in a room full of waterfalls.
And the drow who had had the whip to pull them into the water he had finally gotten out, and it was his turn, so he could get out of the 4 square. Actually, it was 5 square sucky back radius.
Yeah. So he ran over to the other end of the room.
Took his whole turn to do that, and then the Myconids did some minor attacks, not really relevant. So he was finally out. Took his whole turn, but he was out of range of being sucked back in, and then it was the party's turn.
So Cricket ran over and hit him with Staggering Note and pushed him back, and then used what's that other thing that gives you 3 shifts? Anyway, basically I used my bard abilities to push him back into the zone where Serendipity Ben Ghoststrider Melora could do her magic, and she did, and he got pulled back into the.
And at this point, I'll note that he has a special ability. He's like sure-footed, hard to push off. He could only fall in the water if he rolled 4 or less, and he did again for like the 3rd time.
Yep.
It sucks.
So he's back in the water.
Yay!
And
that was where the combat got kind of pointless, because there was basically just one Myconid left. Eventually, another one hauled himself out, and no one else ever came out of the water. No! Before that happened,
what happened?
Actually,
the reason that no one came out of the water, at least I think the reason no one came out of the water, is Serendipity Van Wildstrider Malor started messing about with those runes and stuff. Since the combat was going so well, she started, playing. And she discovered a rune that allowed her to increase the water flow through the waterfalls. So she cranked those up to keep the people inside. And yeah, they were done.
And no one ever came out again, including that drow.
Yep.
And then from then on, it was basically them just killing a lone Myconid.
Yeah.
I did tell them though, just to get some kind of revenge, that I had mentioned last time that drow was covered in like piercings and ornamentation, like he was just covered in gold. And I mentioned that he had some really cool loot, but
it's somewhere in the village now.
Yep.
In pieces.
Yep. We figure he's probably sprinkled over a wide area. We'll just go and clean up afterwards.
Get your metal detector out.
So once we were done with them, it's scouting time. What a wonderful, cohesive, coordinated party we are. So Cricket's the stealthy one. So she pokes her head up the stairs and has a look. There's 3 sets of stairs going up, sort of arranged all around the room. So I pick one at random, basically. And I poke my head up there and have a look around. And I think what happened was everyone else is like, oh, hey, Cricket went up some stairs. I want to go up some stairs, too.
Well, actually, you went up there, you reported what you saw, and then they all went up there.
And then they all went up there, up different stairs. They're all just like, let's go upstairs.
Yeah. So Cricket goes up there, and she just sees a Myconid running some controls.
Yeah.
And the room above is these sort of wooden pipes that feed into each of the spaces where the waterfalls were coming out of, coming up to some central pipe in the roof. And there's some holes inside, and you can see rushing wind and water with a purple glow. And there's one Myconid just manning his station.
Yeah.
So Cricket goes down and reports this, and everyone's like, okay, charge! And they all go up the different
stairs that I haven't scouted. Who knows what's up those those ones.
Well, the people, I think Serendipity and Crows just went up the one you'd already scouted, and they hid from that Myconid. Aurora went up to another stairs, and there was a Myconid there, and Aurora tried to befriend it, just trying to be like, hey, what's going on? I can help you. And he just walks forward, blankly staring, and starts smacking her with his spiky arm. So they killed that Myconid. Yeah. They fought it.
Bad Myconid.
Cricket and Aurora, where Hank had gone up the stairs, there wasn't anyone there, and he just ran around, and I think he charged and did the killing blow on the Myconid.
Aurora needs like a +4 rolled up newspaper.
So
that usually works, but the Myconid didn't seem to even register her.
There wasn't a whole lot.
Thing to hit.
There wasn't a whole lot to see on this level. There were
So were all the 3 rooms very similar?
It's 3 areas of the
Yeah.
same big room, so it's
The
a similar
big
sized room,
room-
but with pipes, and the
Yeah.
pipes kind of like make it hard to get around.
Yeah, so the big pipes in the middle are like a giant column in the center. So coming up around the edges, it was like 3 different rooms.
Right.
They can't see each other. So we wound up leaving this one Myconid operating controls behind us. And we went up, we found some more stairs going up. And just one flight this time.
Yeah, but it was a longish flight.
Yeah. So once again, Cricket does the scouting. She pokes her head up, has a look around, and when she comes back down, she's like, "Okay, let's actually plan something. Let's not
What did
charge
she find
pell
up there?
mell."
What did she find up there?
First, I wanted to make sure everyone was going to plan before I told them. But anyway, no, I told them what was up there. Up the flight of stairs, there's basically the tower becomes a big open column with walkways around the outsides.
But also much narrower.
Yeah.
So the stairs start from the outside of the tower and go up towards the center, but they just come out at level, and so it's a much narrower tower. And they can see up about 2 stories.
Yeah. So up the center of this open column space, there's this column of fungus and spider webs, sort of all crackly and stuff.
And pulsing with purple,
Yeah.
that faint purple light, and it
So-
goes up. It goes up as far as they can see, and then into the floor of the
Ceiling
or
above,
whatever. Yeah.
So yeah, big magic column in the center.
And it goes down into the center of the pipe that was
Yeah.
spewing the
So
liquid.
probably something important for keeping this thing aloft or something.
This whole area is very fungusy and spiderwebby, and there's little spiders crawling everywhere.
And around this thing, there's a couple of these spires that stick out of the sides of the tower and sort of poke at this column of spiderweb and fungus. And they're all crackling with energy and stuff. And standing on them on these little platforms are some Myconids and Drow who are operating, magical runes and whatnot, keeping this stuff going. So, and then we see way up at the top, there's another little platform that's suspended on a catwalk right beside this column of spider webs and fungus and stuff. And there seem to be some guys up there. It probably is some sort of main control thing or whatever. So the plan we come up with.
But first, actually, I should mention that the spikes sticking out are slanted, so you couldn't walk on them. They're like imagine a really elongated pyramid on its side, and so they're on a little wooden platform, and the platform is connected to the outer ring where you can walk by a bridge that seems to be made of spiderweb, fungus, and some bits of wood. So it's sort of like this.
It's not very good.
And that's actually the same thing that's suspending the platform above.
So what we figure we'll do, there's one drow who's out on the control consoles, and he looks magey. So what we'll do is we'll have a surprise round. We'll pop out of the staircase heading up, and the ranged characters will all focus fire on that drow, and the melee ones will run around the passageway around the outside. And as they pass the little bridges to those spikes, they'll cut the bridges to trap the Myconids out on the bridges, out on the spikes. Because they can't run far enough to get to those mage guys right off the bat. So might as well, nullify those guys, and then you can run past them.
Yeah, because
But if that is helping keep the entire thing aloft, and then if you break it, you cannot then keep the flying forward.
actually there was some discussion of trying to crash it and various stuff before. When once they cleared out the room that was clearly providing like the hover, because Serendipity did an amazing Arcana check, so she knew exactly how this mechanism worked, figured out how it's providing the hover. She calculated that if the tower was the same diameter as this, it must be about 10 stories tall based on the hover. But of course, they're now finding that it's narrower than that. But anyway,
Yeah.
and Yeah, so she found out a whole bunch of stuff about it, and they asked about, well, can we just turn it off and crash the tower? But it's not. It's mainly controlled from the main control room. The way I was thinking about it is like some main control room somewhere says, okay, tower, go this way, and then that sort of like opens a track in a sense where someone has to actually do the work to push it that way. But you can't be like, well, I'll just turn this off, because otherwise they basically have a big self-destruct button by their entrance. So yeah, it would be.
So what you're saying is that there's a load-bearing box somewhere in this dungeon.
Yeah. I think that as it may, we decided not to try wrecking the place, not to try crashing it just yet. We want to find out more about what's going on. And maybe, if we can get control of this tower, we can use it to hunt down Stanley and retrieve the box from him.
That's our plan. Stanley's just running, and this storm cloud comes up and hovers right over his head. Give us the box!
Eye on the prize, gotta remember what this campaign is all about.
That stupid box.
Yep, that stupid box.
And then you'll find out what was in it.
Yeah, probably nothing.
Yeah. It's an empty box.
Absolutely nothing!
You're so stupid!
You're like, yeah, we knew that.
You already know what's in it. Stanley opened it to destroy all the towns.
Anyway.
Yeah, maybe it had this tower inside it. That's what they meant.
Somehow doubt it.
Darren's in Fortress?
Well, by the very fact that I suggested it, it's clearly false.
But what if you're playing
Could be a double
Ranger
bluff.
game? Yes.
Yep.
What if Stanley's actually level 20 time mage?
What if?
He must have really weakened those mucolytics.
Yeah. Turns out the mucolytics are actually level 30.
Yeah.
Nice. I love how the box was briefly back in your possession.
Yes! No!
Like, give it to General Miss Anderson for safekeeping.
Yep.
You should have just opened it and there. Just taking a chisel to it.
Next time we get it, we should totally destroy it.
Throw it to the bottom of the ocean.
Oh, that is punishable by death, but you could do it.
Destroying it?
I
don't think destroying it was as bad. I think it was like...
it was if damage came to it accidentally. I don't know if they specifically mentioned destroying it on purpose.
Because who would be that stupid?
That might be just life imprisonment.
Yeah. Well,
you might be able to argue. It's probably death by default, but you could probably argue the judge into life imprisonment.
Often with these diplomatic things, the worst thing that could happen is for it to fall into enemy hands.
Yeah,
And so if it's that, if you're in a situation where we can't protect this box, it's best to destroy it.
it's true.
I'm sure we have a record of the terms of the agreement.
Yeah, one of the earlier retellings probably has more detail. But anyway, back to the fight. So the first round went off pretty much, without a hitch. We pop out, we open fire on those the drow. And there was also a myconid wizardy type over there as well.
Aurora ran to hit the bridge so she could reach it. Normally I'm like, you don't even need to roll to hit the bridge. But I'm like, but she'd already rolled, and she rolled like 2, and she ran. I'm like, you missed the bridge.
Yeah.
So she tried to hit it but failed.
Yeah. And then the rest of them sort of ran up behind. Crows just got out ahead of everyone. Can't remember how that happened.
Yeah,
I think he just didn't pause to hit the bridge. I think he just kept running. And they weren't quite able. Oh, I was trying to knock the drow off of the platform he was on. I was using staggering note, but I didn't manage to knock him off.
You just fell prone.
Did he fall prone?
There was, I think it was actually when Serendipity hit him, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
They have this special ability that makes them hard to knock off ledges.
Yeah.
And so one time he was knocked prone, but a different time he actually not only didn't fall off, but he stayed standing.
So the opening salvo went off. Didn't quite do as much damage as we'd hoped. It was still pretty good. The wizardy types, I think, are both bloody now.
Yeah, well, especially because you guys got a surprise round and one initiative.
Yeah.
So
we hammered them a bit.
yeah, they all got hit by fire, and Serendipity was able to fireball or make a fire blast that hit the upper level guys too.
That did pretty well. And then Serendipity and then Goldsteiner Moore did what was it? It was some sort of a lightning-based attack.
Yeah, I'm not.
What was the spell she used?
I don't remember, but it was a big burst of lightning. And I had said earlier that there's like little discharges of lightning zapping between the central thing and those spikes from time to time. And so Serendipity cast a spell that hit 2 of the guys on the spikes.
And it included, the area of effect included that central column. So it went nuts with electricity arcing all over it because Serendipity's Goldsteiner spell sort of fed into it and screwed things up.
And all the spikes supercharged with electricity, so they were charged with electricity, and there's a huge electrical thing going on connecting all the spikes to the central. And of course the Myconids who are at their control panels and the Drow are frantically trying to do some whatever magical
so we're like, oh nice. They can't fight while they're frantically trying to stop this thing from exploding.
Yeah.
Let's
feed more electricity.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Serendipity and Goldsteiner didn't have any more electricity-based attacks. Fortunately, the Drow have that BS web of electricity thing that they were doing before that makes it so you can't move around in the area.
You can have another if you want.
So one of them cast this thing on us, and I'm like, that's an electricity-based spell, right? And John was like, yeah, I guess so. Will he cast it? Yeah, he'll cast it. He's kind of, in desperation. So one of the Drow also casts an electricity spell.
Oh yeah. Well, did you mention that they got it under control?
Yeah, but it took them some time.
Yeah,
they had to fight to get it under
the Drow
control.
spellcaster had to use his standard action to get it under control.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the Myconids, because what had happened was the Myconid on the nearest one by Aurora, by this time she had cut it so it was 2/3 through, so it was just sort of hanging askew. And the Myconid walked across, and because he has like fungal root toes, they just attached to the fungus bridge, and so he was just walking on the fungus bridge tilted askew, and then came up and started attacking them.
Yeah.
And
so the bridge hacking actually didn't save anything. So
and the other Myconid came off too. But that was why when the Drow on the upper platform wanted to shoot their black lightning down below, they had to choose to either catch the Myconid in the blast or choose to catch the Spire in the blast. And it was a tough call, but they chose to catch the Spire in the blast. And so they hit all the party with that black lightning, which is nasty. It's 10 ongoing damage, immobilized, save ends. On a miss, it's 5 ongoing damage and slowed save ends. So it's a pretty awesome attack. But then it re-supercharged the thing, and the Drow spellcaster who just got it under control started swearing up at the guys up above.
I can speak Drow, so I know all the words he's swearing.
Whenever they speak, it sounds like a whisper, but it's like a stage whisper because it's loud enough to hear. And so the guy was shouting in a whisper at the guy up top.
So this one Drow is basically the only thing keeping this whole place from exploding. So we kill him. I'm curious to see what happens. The next round, we fired a bunch of stuff at him. And I remember it was retroactive damage that ended up killing him, right? We remembered that he was affected by something, or... Yeah,
but it was still within the party's turn, so it was just... It was someone took their turn, and someone else took their turn, and they're like, wait, I did 5 more damage, and then he died. It was still all within...
Yeah, it wasn't too bad, but still. So we killed that guy. And I think that's about where the session ended, so we don't yet know. Is it still arcing?
Yeah, the lightning is still going crazy. Yeah. The guy who took care of it last time is dead. The 2 Myconids at the other control panels have left their posts. The mages up top, because they know they're mages because they shot other magic at them. Like one guy shot a lightning ray, and Oh, the other guy did an interesting thing where it was on Cricket actually. He cast a spell that intensified the electrical damage that she was taking, so it increased it by 5 ongoing damage. The ongoing damage increased to 15, and it became lightning and poison damage. And
They'd missed with the first shot, so I was taking 5 ongoing, so I
right.
increased it to 10.
Right. So it's and then they all started running to better vantage points and didn't want to be out on that central platform. So some of them are running down the stairs because the way the tower is, it's like a circular walkway, but they came out here and all the way around here. Now there's stairs going up, but this is a wall, and then there's like here, and then there's more stairs going up. So like to get around, you have to come down the stairs, and they can't. They have to go all the way around to get to the stairs up, and vice versa. So, but yeah, that was where we had to leave it.
So this place just keeps going up and up and getting bigger and bigger. And we're just going around and around and hitting things and shooting things. And there's these weird dark elf things and there's these weird mushroom things. And yeah, it just keeps going. And I've used my bow more than usual. That's something, I guess. I don't know. More bad guys to kill, I guess. And lots of lightning. Kind of makes my fur stand up. Feels neat.
We keep scaling up this tower. We keep coming across these weird mushroom people and these elves that look like elves but aren't elves because they're dark. And it's all dark. But every room we come to, there's like all sorts of magical controls. And I figured out all the ones for the rooms we've passed. So, I think what we should do, I think we should clear out all the bad guys. And then we'll have our own flying tower. And it can rain water and we can go anywhere we want. It'll be awesome. That's my goal. We're going to get our own flying tower.
I know everybody wants to capture this floating castle tower thingy intact, but it looks like we may have just wrecked its engine. And I have to admit, I'm a little bit curious to see what happens when it explodes. Mostly terrified, but a little bit curious. I hope we can get all out of here, or at least everyone else.
You know, sometimes this dream almost makes sense, and we're going through cities and just shopping or talking to each other, and there was Oblin, and we remembered the dead Oblin, and that was really, it made sense. And then sometimes we're climbing a dark tower with lightning everywhere, fighting living mushrooms, and just going up and up and keep climbing up and up. And I know that if I turn around and look behind me, I'm going to see them coming up after me, and I'm going to see Stacia trying to fight them off, and I don't want to go back to that dream because it always starts everything all over again, and I was doing so well.
Dear Diary, my favorite part of today was when we were bringing light into this dark place, and then Serendipity Van Goldstrader Malor, the slayer of the Butcher of Brackenridge, noticed that these elf creatures are rather unkempt. I noticed their hair was very greasy, and so she delightfully kept pushing them into the water so that they would get nice and clean, I can only assume. And then she was very clever because they kept climbing out. Silly things. So then she just somehow, it was quite amazing, she just turned up the water and it flowed faster and faster and faster, and they won't be coming back to bother us anymore. That was a good part of my day.